This underdog managed to get into a top-tier school, but the entrance exam exposed her real academic level. The only thing she could write on the entire test was the word solution. Emma felt devastated. What made it worse was hearing the straight-A students say the exam was super easy as she walked out of the classroom. She panicked and bolted. When report card day arrived, Emma stood outside the school gate, too afraid to go in. She was terrified of getting expelled for bombing the test. It wasn't until an upperclassman gently called out to her that she hesitantly walked over. The senior could see her fear and reassured her with a smile that expulsion was just something they said to scare the freshman. Emma let out a sigh of relief, thanked her and hurried off. When she got to the classroom, there was no expulsion notice. The seats had already been assigned, just arranged by test scores. For Emma, this was lucky enough. Even though she was stuck in the very last row, she didn't complain. Just then, Ethan walked into the classroom. Seeing Emma so far away from him, Ethan felt a twinge of disappointment, but he didn't say anything. However, one arrogant girl in class wasn't having it. She stormed out to argue with the teacher about the seating. Meanwhile, Emma's stomach started bothering her, so she rushed out too. Right by the door, she overheard that girl saying she didn't want to sit next to Emma, claiming Emma's poor grades would drag her down. Emma never expected to be rejected like this, but her struggling grades were a fact. She could only swallow her anger and walk away. The arrogant girl, unable to get her seat changed, took out her frustration on Emma, crumpling up her new textbooks and throwing them on her desk. Good-natured Emma, trying to keep the peace, said nothing, but her tolerance only encouraged worse behavior. Built-up resentment always reaches a breaking point. That day in math class, the teacher called on students in the back row to answer questions, zeroing in on Emma, who was completely lost. Emma admitted she didn't know. The teacher immediately called on the arrogant girl next to her. That girl answered perfectly, then added that she wasn't like these struggling students. That comment set off every low-performing student in the class. The arrogant girl got jumped by a group of them, and only the homeroom teacher's arrival brought things under control. Ethan seized the moment to argue that the seating arrangement was unfair, but the teacher insisted that grades were the only standard for evaluating students. That statement infuriated Ethan. He challenged the homeroom teacher on the spot to a competition to prove he had what it took to break this rule. The battle between the top student and the teacher began. The score stayed neck and neck. At the critical moment, the teacher played dirty and threw out an advanced Olympiad problem way beyond the curriculum, thinking it was a guaranteed win. To everyone's shock, Ethan wrote out the correct answer. The teacher admitted defeat and had no choice but to agree they could choose their own seats. Ethan hadn't forgotten his earlier promise to help Emma with tutoring. He walked decisively toward the back row. Or perhaps, the whole scene Ethan just caused was all for Emma.